Everyone told me their secrets. I never told a soul. Then one day, I shared something personal, just once. What they did with it still makes my hands shake. People always said I was easy to talk to. Not in the way therapists are, with their notebooks and nods, or in the way bartenders pretend to listen while wiping down a glass. No, I was the guy you found at the edge of the party, not trying to be seen. The one who looked like he might actually care. And somehow I always did. Back in high school, it started with my buddy Jared, whispering to me behind the bleachers that his dad was drinking again. He cried once, just once, and swore me to silence. I nodded, and that was that. I never told a soul. Not when we played varsity together. Not when we got drunk senior year, and he blacked out. I kept it locked. At my first job, this girl named Erin, married, 2 kids, pulled me aside in the supply closet and whispered that she was sleeping in her car between shifts because her husband had emptied their account. I bought her lunch for a month. Never asked for anything. Never said a word. Family was no different. My cousin Ben confessed he was flunking college and lying to everyone about it. My older sister, Amanda, once told me through tears that she wished she had never gotten married. My mom admitted she never wanted a second child, then apologized the next day and pretended it had never happened. I carried that one for years. I carry all of them. See, I never needed to be the center of attention. I never wanted credit. My job was simple. Take in the secrets, bury them deep, and walk around like they were never spoken. It got to a point where I stopped thinking of them as burdens. I treated them like evidence. Proof that people trusted me, even if they could not say it out loud. I was the vault, and nothing leaked. But you know what they never tell you? Even vaults crack. It was late January, cold enough to numb your fingers, even with gloves on. We were out on the back deck at Tyler's place, half the office crowded around a propane heater like moths to a flame. Everyone was drinking cheap beer and pretending to be closer friends than they really were. I do not know what came over me. Maybe it was the weather, maybe the whiskey, or maybe, after years of listening, something inside me just wanted to be heard. So I told them. Not everything. Just one small thing. I said, there was a time in my life when I thought about disappearing. I meant it as a passing comment, something raw but simple. Honest. Real. I was not trying to make it dramatic. Just truthful. Tyler nodded slowly. Jamie, HR Jamie, always cheery, put a hand on my shoulder. Everyone seemed to understand. They said things like, man, I get it. And that takes guts. There were quiet nods and heavy silences, the kind that feel like acceptance. For a minute, I thought maybe I had not made a mistake. I thought maybe this time, someone would carry something for me. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. For a few days, it felt like nothing had changed. People still came to me. Jamie asked if I could take a look at her brother's resume. Tyler pulled me aside to vent about his divorce again, like I had not already heard it in 3 different versions. Even the interns, who barely knew my last name, started lingering by my desk longer than usual, dropping breadcrumbs like they were hoping I would ask the right question and open the floodgates. And I did. I always did. But underneath all that, something was off. It started small. A glance I could not quite place. A laugh that stopped just a second too quickly when I walked into the break room. A silence that used to be comfortable now felt loaded. Then one morning, I passed by 2 coworkers, Gina and Mark, talking low near the elevator. As I walked up, they froze like teenagers caught sneaking out. Mark forced a smile. Gina said something like, hey, morning, but her eyes did not meet mine. The next week, it got worse. I overheard someone say the word unstable in the hallway. It was one of those sentences where the words float just loud enough to sting, but not clear enough to confront. I had a meeting that day with my manager, Curtis, usually a chill guy, and even he seemed different. Asked me how I was holding up, said it twice like he wanted me to catch the deeper meaning. I smiled and said I was fine. Of course I did. That night, I replayed it all on the drive home. The nods around the fire. The quiet moments that had followed. The way Jamie patted my shoulder like I had admitted to something contagious. That was the thing. The moment I cracked the vault, even a little, it was like they stopped seeing me as solid. Suddenly I was fragile. A question mark. The safe place they had all trusted was now something suspicious. At first, I thought I was imagining it. That maybe I was being paranoid. But then came the kicker. On Friday, someone made a joke during lunch. We were all sitting in the break room, munching on leftover pizza, when one of the newer guys, Derek, said, well, I guess we better not stress out our department therapist. You never know when he might vanish. Everyone laughed. Except me. I just stared at my paper plate, suddenly not hungry. The room got quiet after a moment, but it was too late. That comment. It was too specific to be random. It meant someone had told. The words I shared on the deck, meant to be personal, meant to be safe, had been passed around like office gossip. Maybe not with malice. Maybe just as something interesting. But that did not matter. The damage was done. And somewhere in that silence, something inside me started to shift. You know how sound carries differently when you are alone in a room? It feels louder, somehow. Echoes longer. That is what my thoughts started to feel like after that lunch. Everything replayed on a loop, amplified. I kept thinking about the moment I shared my secret. The exact words I used. How I had stared into the firelight, letting the words out soft and careful. I thought maybe they had fallen flat. Maybe nobody had really heard me. But they had. They definitely had. By the next Monday, it felt like everyone had. It was not what they said. It was how they said it. People started asking if I was doing okay, in that way where the question is really a warning. Like they were scanning me for cracks. Gina brought me a coffee, then lingered by my desk longer than usual. If you ever want to talk, she said with that customer service voice, just know I'm here. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, I was never supposed to be your problem. Because here is the thing, I was the one who listened. That was my role. I held the weight for everyone else. And I did it gladly. No fanfare. No thanks. Just quiet loyalty. And now that I had finally opened up, once, just once, it was like I had flipped the entire script. Like I had broken some unspoken rule. The hallway glances got sharper. Conversations stopped when I got too close. Someone started saying things like, that guy has seen some stuff, in a way that made it sound like I was dangerous. Or broken. Or both. The final straw came on a Wednesday. I was walking to the parking garage when I heard it. Two voices. One I recognized immediately, Derek again. The other, I could not quite place. They were talking in hushed tones, not knowing I was a few steps behind the concrete pillar. She told me he used to have those thoughts, Derek said. Like, seriously considered disappearing. No way, the other voice said. He always seemed so normal. Yeah, that's the scary part. That one hit me square in the chest. Scary. That word rang like a bell inside my skull. I did not confront them. Did not make a sound. Just turned around and walked the other way. Drove home in silence. No music. Just white knuckles and cold air and the realization that my secret was out. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was knowing exactly who told them. Because only 3 people were within earshot that night by the heater. Only 3 faces nodded along. And of them, only one had been eager enough, smiling too hard, touching my shoulder like she was planting a flag. Jamie. That realization sat heavy in my chest, like betrayal wearing perfume. And from that moment forward, something hardened in me. I had always been the vault, always the safe place. But now I had a choice to make. I told myself I needed proof. I still wanted to believe maybe it was not Jamie. Maybe it slipped out some other way. Maybe I had said it louder than I remembered. Maybe someone overheard. Maybe. But deep down, I already knew. It was not the first time I had felt this kind of fracture. The following morning, I showed up to work early. Earlier than usual. Earlier than everyone. I just sat there with a half-full mug of coffee, pretending to go through emails, but really? I was watching. Around 8:15, Jamie walked in. She saw me, smiled like she always did. Not a big one. Just that practiced, warm, familiar look. The kind that makes people think she is trustworthy. I nodded back. But something about it felt hollow now. Like I was staring at a mask, and I finally knew it. She came over mid-morning and leaned on the edge of my desk, like she used to before staff meetings. She asked how I was holding up, her tone soft. Concerned. That fake soft voice that used to comfort me. I watched her closely. Said I was fine. Then I added, funny thing. I think someone's been talking about that thing I said on Tyler's deck. She blinked a little too slowly. Like her brain needed time to choose the right reaction. Oh, she said. Really? That's awful. Her eyes flicked down and to the side for half a second. Right then, I knew. The vault inside me did not need a key. It needed eyes. And hers gave it all away. I asked if she had told anyone. Real casual. Try to keep it light. She shook her head, a little too quick. Of course not. I would never do that to you. That lie sat between us like smoke. Thin at first, but enough to choke on if you breathed it in too deep. I did not push. I let her walk away. But later that day, I got my confirmation. I was heading toward the elevators when I passed by the back office. Derek was inside, standing near the printer with Jamie. I heard her say it. Yeah, I know. It was probably a bad call, but I just thought he needed someone to check in, you know? He has been different lately. She said it like she was explaining a scheduling error. Like my pain was a clerical mistake she had filed under concern and marked shareable. She spotted me through the glass. Her face dropped. I kept walking. That was it. No more doubt. No more giving the benefit. It was not just a broken promise. It was betrayal disguised as care. I had shared one moment of weakness, one truth I had never said out loud, and she handed it off like it was nothing. She wrapped it in good intentions and threw it into the rumor mill. And the worst part? She still thought she had done the right thing. I did not sleep that night. I sat in my apartment, lights off, phone face down, just staring into the dark like I was waiting for something to rise out of it. But all I got was silence. Until I finally whispered to no one but myself, "What now?" I thought I was done with it. Thought I could just move forward, keep my head down, stay in my lane. Let it all fade. But secrets have a way of echoing. And just when you think they are buried, they crawl their way back up through the cracks. It happened the next week. Late Thursday afternoon, just before close, Curtis, the manager, called me into his office. His voice was calm, the usual polite tone, but there was something stiff about it, like he was walking on ice and pretending not to notice. I stepped inside, shut the door, and sat across from him. He leaned back in his chair, folded his hands, and said, "I just wanted to check in, see how things are going." Standard line. Nothing new. But then he added, "There have been some conversations." Right then, my chest tightened. I did not move. He went on, tiptoeing through words like emotional well-being and team dynamics. He said he was not accusing me of anything, but apparently someone had expressed concerns. Concerns. That word stuck in my head like a splinter. Is this about my performance? I asked. He said no. Of course not. My work was excellent as always. But the room had shifted. I could feel it. This was not a check-in. This was a warning dressed in small talk. I kept my expression neutral, nodded where I was supposed to, gave all the right answers. Inside, I was burning, because now I knew. This had gone beyond office gossip. Someone had dragged my name into HR, not because I did anything wrong, but because I had shown a crack, because I dared to be human. That night, I sat in my car outside a gas station for almost an hour, just parked there in the glow of the overhead lights, watching people come and go. I thought about every time someone had come to me crying, whispering, confessing. Every time I had held their words and asked for nothing in return. And now? Now the one time I shared something small, something real, they called it a concern, a liability, a problem. The betrayal was not just the whispering. It was the shift, the quiet exile, the polite distance that came after. And in that parking lot, something inside me settled. I was done waiting to be understood, done pretending this would blow over, done hoping people would treat me the way I had treated them. They would not. And that realization? It was not anger anymore. It was freedom. Friday morning hit different. I walked into the office with a stillness I had not felt in a long time. Not tension, not fear, just stillness. The kind you feel before a storm breaks, when the sky holds its breath. Jamie was already at her desk. She glanced up when I passed, smiled, but not like before. This one was tight, unsure. She knew. I knew. There was nothing left to pretend. By mid-morning, a meeting invite popped up on my screen. Subject, quick sync. You, me, and Curtis. Sent by Jamie. I stared at it for a full minute. There it was. The final play. I walked into the conference room 5 minutes early, sat across from the empty chair, and waited. Curtis came in next, nodding at me. Said nothing. Then Jamie walked in, holding a notepad like we were about to discuss scheduling. "Thanks for joining," she said. Sitting down like this was any other meeting. Curtis folded his hands again. Same posture, same calm tone. Jamie started talking first. She said this was just a conversation, just a way to make sure everyone felt supported. She mentioned something about team culture, about communication, about wellness. Then came the sentence. There have been a few moments lately where some people have felt uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. The word hung there, slick and sharp. She looked at me, like she was expecting me to deny something, defend myself, ask for clarification. I did none of that. Instead, I asked her directly. Quiet, steady. "Did you tell anyone what I said that night on Tyler's deck?" Curtis shifted in his seat. Jamie blinked, caught off guard. She opened her mouth, probably had a denial loaded. But I did not give her the time. I heard you. By the printer. Talking to Derek. Her face flushed, just for a moment. Her mouth stayed open, but the words caught. I turned to Curtis. Here's what really happened, I said. One night, I opened up. Just a small thing. Personal. Honest. Not for attention. Not to be dramatic. Just human. And she took that moment and made it a hallway story. Jamie tried to cut in, some excuse, some spin, but I raised a hand. Let me finish. And she did. For once, she was quiet. I have kept more secrets than I can count, I said. I have carried things for people in this building that would wreck them if I ever opened my mouth. I never asked for anything back. I never broke that trust. I looked her in the eye. But you did. Curtis cleared his throat, tried to soften the moment. Asked if I wanted to speak to someone. HR. A counselor. I said no. I do not need fixing, I told him. I needed someone to listen. Not report me. Not whisper behind my back. I stood up, smoothed out my shirt, looked down at them both. I will finish my projects. I will keep doing my job. But the next time someone looks my way and wonders what I am thinking, I let that hang. Then I said, they can wonder. And I walked out. After that meeting, things did not explode. No shouting. No dramatic exits. No one throwing papers or storming out. Just quiet. A different kind of quiet. One with weight. I still came to work. Still hit my deadlines. Still nodded when people passed me in the hallway. But the air shifted. Conversations dimmed when I walked by. Break room small talk dried up. Invitations stopped landing in my inbox. And I welcomed it. For the first time in years, I was not a container for anyone else's chaos. I stopped picking up late-night calls from people who only reached out when things went sideways. I stopped replying to vague, "Hey, you free?" texts from coworkers who never asked how I was unless they needed something. I reclaimed my space. Every night after work, I took the long way home. No radio. Just the sound of tires on asphalt and my own thoughts, finally given room to breathe. It surprised me how much peace there was in not being needed. That weekend, I deleted a list of saved voicemails I had been holding onto for years. The one from my sister crying about her divorce. The one from Jared after his relapse. The one from Aaron, late and slurred, asking if I could talk her down again. Gone. Not out of cruelty. Out of survival. It was time to let go of the version of me that only existed to serve others. And the strange part? Nobody came knocking. Not Jamie. Not Curtis. Not even Tyler. I think they all felt it. That whatever power they used to have, those whispered meetings and loaded glances, meant nothing now. Because once someone knows who they are, really knows, no rumor can shake it. I was not angry anymore. I was not broken. I was just done pretending that silence meant weakness. Monday morning came with an email. Subject, can we talk? From Jamie. I stared at it for a full minute. Deleted it. 15 minutes later, she showed up at my desk. She did not speak right away. Just stood there, holding a coffee she clearly brought as a peace offering. That same brand I always grabbed from the cafe downstairs. Cream, no sugar. She remembered. I nodded toward the empty chair beside my desk. She's Saturday. I owe you an apology, she said. Her voice was different now. Smaller. Like the weight had finally settled. I thought I was helping. I really did. I thought if people knew you were struggling, they would be more understanding. More supportive. I said nothing. She went on, filling the silence the way people do when they are uncomfortable. I did not mean to make it worse. I did not think it would spread. I just mentioned it to Derek because he said something about you seeming off. I thought I was protecting you. That was the line. Protecting me. I let her sit in that for a while. Just long enough for the echo to hit. Then I said it, calm and clear. You wanted a story. Her eyes flicked up. That night, I was not looking for advice. I was not trying to make anyone feel sorry for me. I just wanted one moment of honesty. One moment where I was not carrying everybody else's pain. Jamie nodded slowly. Her mouth opened, then closed again. I watched her fumble for something else. Some sentence that might fix it. But nothing came. Because there was nothing to fix. I stood up, walked over to the window, and looked out. The city moved like it always did. Fast, loud, and different. People coming and going, living entire lives in passing. Then I turned back to her. I do not need an apology, I said. Not anymore. She looked confused. Like that was not the answer she expected. I need something else, I added. I need you to stop pretending you are the kind of person who protects people. You are not. You are the kind of person who confuses sympathy with loyalty. And the difference matters. Jamie's lips tightened. The truth will do that to a person. I walked back to my chair, sat down, folded my hands. Now if you will excuse me, I have work to do. She stood slowly, the coffee still in her hand, now cooling. Her face was a strange mix of shame and something that almost looked like regret. But I did not care anymore. I had said what needed saying. And just like that, she walked away. No grand moment. No dramatic ending. Just steps on the tile and a door clicking shut. I stayed late that night. Most of the office had cleared out. Lights were dimmed. The hum of copy machines had faded. Just me, a flickering monitor, and the quiet comfort of being unseen again. But it felt different this time. Not like I had been pushed into the shadows. More like I had chosen them. Like I had built this silence for myself. And for the first time, I was not lonely in it. I was safe. And that made all the difference. The next few weeks passed quietly. No more rumors. No more hallway glances. No more fake smiles or shoulder pats. Jamie avoided me now. Curtis kept things professional. Derek found somewhere else to make his jokes. And everyone else. They just carried on, like nothing ever happened. But I noticed. They did not come to me anymore. The confessions stopped. The secrets stopped. And I let them go. It was not bitterness. It was not pride. It was clarity. Because once you understand what people really see when they look at you, not what they say, but what they reveal in silence, you stop giving them so much of yourself. I never wanted power. But I have it now. Not over others. Over myself. The vault is still there, sure. But the door is locked for good now. Not everyone gets a key. Not everyone deserves one. I think about that night on Tyler's deck sometimes. How easy it was to open up. How right it felt in the moment. But not anymore. I do not share lightly now. And when I do, it is with people who have earned it. Because trust? It is not something you offer just to prove you are real. It is something you protect to remind yourself that you matter. So I sit here, watching the screensaver bounce slowly across my monitor, the soft glow of it painting shadows across the walls. Outside, the city keeps moving. But inside, everything is still. And for once, I like it that way.